Hello everyone, we are Group 1 newbie, and here are our group members. With the ongoing evolution of video games, they are becoming increasingly significant in influencing cultural narratives and promoting interactions among various societies. Our group will delve into an analysis of the article, The Cultural Impact of Video Games, a systematic review of the literature. Here is the abstract. The passage explores the relationship between video games and culture. It aims to determine whether video games directly impact cultural values and representation transmissions. The researchers examine technological advancement in cultural dissemination and highlight the characteristics of video games in influencing cultural exchange. The study also analyzed the evolution of video games to generate new cultural representations. The researchers evaluate the limitation of previous research and advocate for an in-depth investigation into video games' specific contribution to cultural transmission. Given that this topic is relatively new, so academic resources are limited but valuable, we will closely examine 4 articles from the literature reviews and evaluate them across 6 dimensions. Here are 4 articles, which I will refer to as the first, second in the following pages. The first uses text mining to identify key research trends in the effects of digital tools on art and cultural education, focusing on video games and social media. The second discusses alternative narratives in video games from feminist and post-colonial perspectives. The third examines the political and cultural aspects of video game production. The fourth reviews 62 studies on video games' intercultural impact, suggesting they enhance cultural knowledge and self-awareness. We created a checklist to evaluate 6 dimensions, which will be covered in details later. Articles offer diverse perspectives on video games and culture, but don't directly engage with one another. On authorship, reviews show various styles. Citation comes from Google Scholar indicate credibility. The first and third cited 31 and 26 times respectively, with multiple authors providing broader expertise. The second, with 12 citations and a single author, highlights unique insight, but less impact. The fourth stand out with 75 citations, showing strong recognition. Regarding timeliness, 3 are recent, published within the last 5 years. The fourth review studies from 2001 to 2018, focusing on emerging topics, while the first and third highlight recent trends enhancing relevance. However, the second, published much earlier, may be less timely as it fails to capture evolving dynamics. Most articles have a clear structure. First highlights hotspots in quantitative research, making key trends easy to follow. Third, presents a chronological timeline of video game production, easy to track changes. Fourth is a systematic review, which synthesizes findings from various studies, providing a coherent framework. In comparison, second's story-like format is compelling but less organized due to scattered information. Evaluating relevance on secondary sources. The first relies on around 90% secondary sources, indicating little original data, which is typical for a systematic review. This can lead to insufficient innovation and independence. The first uses about 30% and includes significant primary data, achieving a better balance, making it more valuable for research. We ranked articles based on clarity, coherence, and relevance. The fourth is a well-structured systematic review that connects video games to cultural dynamics. The second provides a coherent analysis of cultural resistance through video games, while the third offers a clear examination of socio-political aspects. The first has a clear narrative, but lacks direct exploration of video games, slightly weakening its cohesion.
The following section will examine how the authors align their method with their research questions and rationale. The methods section is crucial for ensuring the validity and relevance of the findings. Let's begin by examining how they formulated their research questions. The authors formulated 12 research questions in 4 dimensions: documentation, methodology, video game aspects, and culture as context. The researchers used a systematic literature review approach following the Prisma 2020 guidelines. Now, let's talk about how Prisma 2020 assists researchers in ensuring completeness and transparency in their review process. Prisma 2020 provides a structured framework for conducting systematic reviews. This method helps authors identify, select, and evaluate studies rigorously and comprehensively, ensuring the trustworthiness of the research, with the Prisma guiding the review process. Authors then determine the sources for their data. Then, a detailed data coding process was used to categorize the selected articles, aligning with the researcher's methodological focus and ensuring a net understanding of video games' impact as artistic objects. The authors collected data from the Web of Science and the Scopus. In addition to the 3 strands mentioned by the authors, they also examined their universal coverage in the academic field. According to other peer-reviewed articles, as shown in the PowerPoint, these 2 databases are recognized for their credibility and extensive academic coverage. They allow the authors to retrieve high-quality studies relevant to their focus on video games and culture and support their findings confidently. After identifying their data sources, the next crucial step was selecting the proper studies. The Prisma flowchart guided the selection process, which reduced the initial 273 studies to 45 through systematic inclusion and exclusion criteria. This flowchart ensured that only studies focusing on cultural aspects of video games were considered, which is crucial for ensuring the accuracy and focus of the review. This approach mirrors similar systematic peer-reviewed articles, as indicated in the bottom right-hand corner. The 45 selected articles contain valuable information on subjects such as identity, social interaction, and the role of games as cultural objects. First, the keywords used for the search strategy were broad enough to cover various perspectives on the cultural influences of video games. Then, 45 selected articles, based on the Prisma 2020 flowchart, are determined to be high-quality studies relevant to the researcher's focus on video game and culture. These studies included the role of video games in shaping identity, influencing social interaction, and impacting education. Once the researchers have identified their data sources and selected appropriate studies, they employ quantitative and qualitative approaches. These methods are essential for examining the social and cultural impacts of games. The research covers various topics, including the formation of identity and representation, interpersonal interactions, and the role of games in culture as artistic expressions, aligning with the stated objectives. The 2 images highlight the main feature of this work, its wide-ranging scope covering various fields. It thoroughly analyzes how video games function as cultural tools in psychology, sociology, and media studies. This interdisciplinary approach is crucial for comprehending the impact of video games on different cultural aspects. However, the authors recognize that the geographic concentration of the research revealed presents a challenge to the study. Most of the studies are conducted in Western settings. which may restrict the thorough analysis of the impact of video games on global culture. We acknowledge two main limitations, despite the large sample size and the thorough analysis offered by the article. First, the studies only focus on Western environments, which means that their findings may only apply to some regions. To better understand the significance of video games, it would be advantageous to broaden the existing samples by incorporating perspectives from beyond the Western world. Second, while this review includes studies from several years, older research may need updating to reflect recent trends in the rapidly developing video game industry. Second, while this review includes studies from several years, older research may need updating to reflect recent trends in the video game industry, which is rapidly developing nowadays.
Next, let's turn our attention to how well the authors presented their findings, address the limitation of their study, and outline directions for future research. After presenting the research's main points across 4 dimensions and 12 questions, the article concludes that games have a direct impact on culture transmission. However, after summarizing the main results, the author abruptly shifts to discussing the scale of games and environmental interaction, which causes a lack of smooth transition in the logic. We recommend adding a transitional paragraph to guide readers naturally into the new topic, enhancing logical coherence. As for limitations, the article lacks a dedicated section discussing research limitations, which may affect its rigor. Also, the article fails to clearly define video games at the beginning. Without a clear definition, the following research lacks a reference point, making it difficult to fully reflect the differences in cultural interaction across different games. We recommend that the author define the scope of video games at the start to strengthen the focus of the research. Secondly, the article draws its conclusions directly from 45 references, which the readers may be unfamiliar with. They might struggle to understand the reasoning behind the findings. We suggest the author provided more detailed explanations of the reasoning process or offer specific examples to support them, enhancing the persuasiveness of the research. Lastly, the article emphasizes the literature's publication location, but neglects the game's distribution location, overlooking the impact in third world countries. We recommend including considerations of game distribution locations and release languages to broaden the study's perspective. For future research, the article provides a solid theoretical foundation for further studies. The author mentioned that different players may interpret games differently. Moreover, with the advancement of technology and global changes, future research should focus on emerging dominant discourses in shifting global contexts, exploring the role of games in specific groups. The application of new technologies such as VR and AI in game design should be examined. These directions align with current developments and provide clear guidance for future research. In conclusion, the conclusions and discussion session is well structured, and the future outlook is clearly defined. We suggest the author provide a more precise definition of research subjects and improve the narrative's transparency for better readability. Here are our references. Thanks for watching. Feel free to add comments.